We do what they tell us to do. I said, so why is it so bad? Well, they want to use the one base that's very far away, and they didn't want to be, politically incorrect, so they didn't want to use other bases that they had all over the place. And he said, sir, we can use those bases, and we'll hit them from the left, we'll hit them from the right, we'll hit them from the bottom, we'll hit them from the top. They won't know what the hell happened, sir. And that's what happened, and I got it knocked off. You know the longer version of the story, which is a cool story, but I won't bore you with it. I can only tell you this, that our military is amazing. It's amazing. We have the great military. And it's not going woke. It's not going. We're not going to have our military be woke, fellas, okay? You don't want a woke. You don't want a woke. I don't think he wants a woke military. It's not going to go woke. They would like to have it woke, but we're not going to let that happen. But now we have death and destruction all over the planet because we have the worst and most incompetent president in the history of our country. He's incompetent. He's only good at weaponizing justice against political people and religious people, frankly, a lot of religious people. What a shame. If they spent the same energy on defeating all of the enemies that we have more enemies now. We had all peace. You know that. Remember when crooked Hillary Clinton, which I don't call her that anymore because I'm using it. I call her beautiful Hillary, right? Beautiful. She's a beautiful woman. But remember when beautiful Hillary went out and she said, he'll cause war. Here's his personality. He'll cause war in our country. I said, no, I'll end war. And I was right. I didn't have any wars. I'm the only president in like 80 years that didn't have a war. I got rid of ISIS. We won ISIS. We beat ISIS. We did a lot of things nobody can believe. But we didn't start a war. They started wars in the Middle East that they never finished. They blew the place up. It's like obliterated. Then they left with nothing. I used to say, don't start a war, but if you're going to have it, like with Iraq, keep the oil. Do you remember I used to say that? Just as a civilian. I was like you. I was watching people. I'd say, keep the oil. They have hundreds of billions. Iraq has tremendous amounts of oil right now. I said, keep the oil. And they didn't keep the oil. They kept nothing. We went in, lost a lot of lives, bombed the hell out of the place. I mean, what happened there? You had, I don't know if you know, just a quick look. So for thousands of years, you had Iran and Iraq, and they were actually almost equal. And they'd fight each other, fight. That's all they do is fight, fight. And they'd come to a stalemate, then they'd rest for a few years, then they'd come back and they'd fight. They did this forever, under different names. But basically, you had this group, and they'd fight. Then we went in, we obliterated Iraq, and now you have Iran. They had a natural barrier. They were exactly the same militarily. I mean, they would literally fight. Sometimes your line would move 10 feet this way, 10 feet this way, on for many, many centuries, actually. And then we came in and we brilliantly, just absolutely pulverized Iraq and Saddam Hussein, remember? And now we have one power instead of two. The two powers kept each other in check. That's called nature. That's called the way it is, but it's a shame. What's happened is a shame. Iran is behind this. In case anybody, they don't like to say it because they gave him $6 billion. I heard the trade. I said, finally, we make a trade that's even, because usually we make a trade where, trade of hostages. By the way, I did 58 hostages. We never paid 10 cents because it's a horrible precedent. But I'd always see where they make a trade where, we get 2 people and they get 10 people and stuff like that. I mean, the trade with Russia was a tough trade. They got the world's #1 arms merchant. They call him the merchant of death. They got them. Then we got one person. And then we didn't even get the other gentleman out. They wouldn't even give us the other gentleman. These are the worst negotiators. But I heard this one, 5 for 5. We get 5, you get 5. And I was happy. Then I said, and also the United States will give them $6 billion. I said, that doesn't seem, we get 5, they get $6 billion. It's, and that's nothing compared to what they did, really, because what they did is much worse than that, because we wouldn't allow other countries to buy their oil. We said, if you want to buy their oil, you can, but you can't do business in the United States. That included China. And in addition to that, anything you sell to us, we're going to tariff you like at 100%. So everybody said, well, we didn't buy. So they were broke. If you look at Iran in my last couple of years, they were broke, and they were ready to make a deal. We would have made a good deal for them, for everybody. They would have been happy, okay? They would have been happy, and we would have made a deal. We just want one thing. We want no nuclear weapons, and we don't want them to have a nuclear weapon. And they are now weeks away from having a nuclear weapon, and these guys don't even talk about it. And once they have a nuclear weapon, you're not going to be able to even discuss anything with them. They won't even take your phone call. It's so sad because we had them at a point where we could have made any deal I wanted. They were broke. They had no money. In all fairness, China didn't buy anything. Almost any country they didn't buy, because if they bought, we wouldn't have allowed. We told them, you won't do any business. Most of them do a big business in the United States. No business. And we're going to tariff anything you put in. We're going to tariff at 100%. So they stopped buying. And if you look at the oil from 3-4 years ago, they weren't selling anything, and they were, they had no money. And they were willing to talk, and we talked, and they would have made a deal that would have been great for us, and it would have been good for the world, would have been good for them. But then these people came in a very bad way. They came in, and they didn't even pick that up. They didn't pick it up. And immediately they started selling to China. China's buying millions and millions and millions of barrels of oil, and their ships are all over the place. It's incredible to see, and they've become very wealthy. They have over $100 billion now, think of it. So the $6 billion is a lot, but the $6 billion is sort of easy to say because it's so easy to understand, but the oil thing is far worse, because by allowing them, they took off the sanctions. They still have the sanctions on, but they don't enforce them, because the sanctions I see in these countries, sanctions are worthless if you don't have a leader that's going to enforce them. So they don't enforce the sanctions that I put on, and they're making a fortune, and they want to come into the war, too. When you see what they say, if you do anything here or anything there, we will come in. And they have a very big army. They have a lot of people, a lot of men, a very big military. And it's very sad when I look at this. This is something that would have never happened, not even a thought. Israel wouldn't have been attacked. You wouldn't have lost all the people that have been lost. And unfortunately, a lot of people are going to be lost into the future on all sides. And it's a very, very sad thing to see. And it's gross incompetence on behalf of Biden and this crime family of people. It's a crime family. All because of a rigged election, too. Don't kid yourself. And you can say it any way you want. But you look at the numbers I'd love to have. I wish I had a judge that was. It was a rigged election, but now we're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. They say, sir, forget it. You can't forget. If you forget, it's going to happen again. We're never going to let it happen. So you can't forget. You have to learn from history. If you don't learn from history, you're a fool. So I fought for Israel like no president ever before, recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital, which is a big deal. And even recognized Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights, something that they never even thought. We gave them that. And when I left, Iran was weak and desperate, and they wanted to do, and Joe Biden came along, and he just made them so happy. I wonder if he gets a deal from them, too, like he does from everyone else. So I think there's a substantial chance. I mean, I would say that's, but we stand with Israel, and something's going to happen that, I don't know. I look at the level of ferocity right now, and that didn't exist 3 years ago. It didn't exist because they didn't have the cards. Now they have a lot of the cards, and it's a very, very, very bad thing. I've been telling you for the last year, and did you ever hear the expression, Trump was right about everything? They have that. If you look back, I mean, I don't want to brag here, but I've been right about everything. I've been right about everything. I mean, Putin, and I got along well with the fake news media back there. They would say, oh, it's terrible that he got along. Well, he's got a lot of nuclear warheads and, getting along. But I got along very well with him. He would have never done it for a lot of reasons. Number one, I said, you can't do it, Vladimir, because if you do it, you get hit. I don't want to tell you what I said in terms of where he's getting hit, but very hard. And he said, no way. I said, way. No way. No way. And honestly, he didn't believe me, but he believed me 10%. That was enough. That was enough. He would have never gone in. And, we got along, but he would have never gone in on that. But, where he also would have gone in. I had oil at $40 a barrel. Now it's $100 a barrel, and it was even 115 when we really started this thing. He was making so much money because the oil was far greater than the cost of war, believe it or not. You know, you think war is like, but it is. And now oil is getting ready to hit another all-time high, and so it's very hard. So that Biden, by stopping all the energy coming out, you know, he wants to put windmills all over the place, and he wants to do things that are very expensive, but he doesn't want any petroleum. He doesn't want any petroleum product, and he doesn't want oil and gas, although he's taking it from Venezuela. Did you see that? Venezuela was supposed to be the enemy. When I left, I think we would have taken over Venezuela. Now all of a sudden they say, thank you very much, Venezuela, for selling us your tar. You know, they have not good stuff. And for the environmentalists, you know, Venezuela, you know where the only refineries in the entire world that can refine that crap are in Houston, Texas. So it's sent to Houston, Texas. It's tar, and it's very tough, and it's very expensive. But a lot of stuff, you know, if you all believe in that, and we do to a large extent, not, you know, we're not crazy people. We're not going to destroy the country for it. But all of that stuff, you know, why would they do that? Very expensive. And we have the best energy. We have the best oil, but we have more oil and gas than any country in the world. We have Saudi Arabia. We have more than Russia. And we don't touch it. But we'll take filthy, dirty stuff and refine it in Houston. I mean, literally, the only place in the whole world that can refine it. And that's what we do. And we've now taken a, you know, essentially a dictatorship or whatever you want to call it. A lot of people have left. Very tough place. And we've made them very rich very quickly. Think of it. We've made them rich. They were ready to make any deal I wanted. They were going to make any deal I wanted. We would have gotten freedom over there. But they met very stupid people, and that's what happened. Somebody said to me when I was walking up, would you do the snake? Do you know the snake? Does anybody know the snake? Because, you know, we have a big problem. You probably has anybody heard about that? You know, we have about 15 million people allowed in our country that shouldn't be there. And many of those people come from mental institutions, and they come from very, very bad places, very bad places. They come from jails and prisons. There's a slight difference between the both, right? Which is worse, a jail or a prison? Perhaps prison. And then they come from insane asylums and mental institutions. Insane asylum is heavy stuff, right? Mental institution is not good. Insane asylum is silence of the lamb, right? Silence of the lamb, that's insane asylum. We're talking about, well, they're insane asylums. A lot of people say, sir, please don't use the term insane asylum. It's very bad. I said, no, let's tell the truth, right? They're coming from insane asylums. They're coming from mental institutions, and they're terrorists coming. Do you know, in 2019, they did a report. They found no terrorists at all coming through the border. That's with me. 2019, and now they're setting records. They're coming in, and they're coming in at levels that nobody's ever seen, and a lot of them are really bad ones. So we have something called the snake, and it was done a long time ago. Something that was not meant for this purpose, but it was purpose. It's so incredible how accurate it is, and I'll say it. People find it fascinating. It really relates to the border and the people you let in. And now you can talk about Israel, because a lot of the people that are attacking Israel are coming into our country. So what do they have in mind? And a lot of them are young, strong men. I hate to tell you women, there aren't a lot of women. There are a lot of strong, young men. And they're coming in, and I say, be prepared. Be prepared. And hopefully the one thing that we really have to be careful of is World War III, because we're right on the cusp of World War III. We're so close. We're so close. And we have a man who's he wasn't intelligent 30 years ago in his prime, and he's not intelligent now. And now he's really off. He doesn't know how to get off a stage. No, he gets on a stage. You ever see him walk off? He can't find the exit. Look, you're on a stage, right? I've never seen the stage before. I don't like flies. Do we like flies? I don't like. But no, he's on a stage. You got to stare and a stare. Usually, typically, you don't have a stair behind, but sometimes you do. But what you do is you look, and you see there's a stair, too. And the guy I see last night, he finishes the speech. Oh, yeah. And then, thank you. You saw this, right? Thank you. Thank you. He's pointing. He can't find his way. And this is the guy that's in charge of whether or not we're in a nuclear war that's going to obliterate the world. And it's just so bad. I'll tell you what, we got to win this election. If we don't win the election, our country, we're not going to have a country. I mean, just lasting another year is almost impossible to think with the weaponized elections and all the stuff they do. Today, a judge put on a gag order. I'll be the only politician in history with a gag order where I'm not allowed to criticize people. Can you imagine this? Do you believe this? I'm not allowed to criticize people. So we'll see. We'll appeal it, and we'll see. But it's so unconstitutional. The good thing is we have so much support. It's incredible. And it makes it even more so. Look, I'm the only guy that ever got indicted. I got indicted more than Alphonse Capone. Did anyone ever hear of Al Capone? If you looked at him the wrong way, he was seriously tough, right? Scarface. You know, they call him Scarface. Had a little scar in there. I'm sure it was a minor accident, but he was Scarface. But Al Capone, if you looked at him in the wrong way, if he didn't like you, you looked at him a little bit askance, he blew your brains out. He was only indicted one time. I've been indicted 4 times. And in addition, I have these civil trials that are all coming out of the Justice Department. They've weaponized the Justice Department and the FBI. They've weaponized, think of it, the Justice Department. This is like a banana republic, but we're going to be okay. The good news is I'm the only one that's ever been indicted where the numbers went through the roof because the people understand. No, it's true. He challenged the election. The election was crooked. They're saying you never challenge an election. You're supposed to believe these people, right? How about the 51 intelligence agents that lied? Turned out they lied. How about the FBI Twitter files? All that stuff. All of the votes, if you look at 2,000 Mules, if you look at that, those are tapes of people stuffing ballot boxes. Those aren't people saying, those are tapes. People don't want to hear it. But no, they put a gag order on me. And I'm not supposed to be talking about things that bad people do. And so we'll be appealing very quickly. But, you know, people understand it. And normally if you get indicted, if you're a politician, I've watched it for years, they get indicted and they walk to a microphone about 4 minutes later. Ladies and gentlemen, I will be leaving office to fight for my reputation and spend time with my family. I love my family so much. You know, that they're out, they're gone. With me, I have a big platform so I can explain things. But they want to indict for challenging an election, rightfully challenging. And what about all the people that challenged me in 2016? Hillary Clinton and all these people? You ever hear Maxine Waters? You ever hear her rhetoric? She wants to kill people. You ever hear this stuff? And yet they challenge me peacefully and patriotically. Remember the speech? Peacefully and patriotically. Oh, that's insurrection. That's a horrible thing. Peacefully, and think of it, and then many other things during the course of a period of time. And the truth is, Nancy Pelosi was offered 10,000 soldiers 2 days before the event because I knew it was going to be a she turned them down. She didn't like the look. So it's a disgrace what's happened to our country. But this is a little play on words and concepts, and it's something that's people love. I mean, people love. It's so accurate because it's happening to our country right now. And now you can add in just the illegal immigration. You can see what's going on in the Middle East, and it's really sad and really incredible. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. His pretty colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. Poor thing, she cried, I'll take you in and I'll take care of you. Right? Come on in, everybody, from your prisons, from your mental institutions. Take me in, O tender woman, take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. She wrapped him up, all cozy, in a comforter of silk, and laid him by her fireside with some honey and some milk. She hurried home from work that night, and soon as she arrived, She found the pretty snake she'd taken in had been revived. Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman. Sighed the vicious snake, vicious, vicious snake. She clutched him to her bosom. You're so beautiful, she cried. But if I hadn't brought you in by now, you truly would have died. She stroked his pretty skin again and kissed him and held him tight. But instead of saying, thank you, ma'am, the snake gave her a vicious bite. Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O